welcome back to At Home with Chic and Grace. Today I have part of my new scallop collection, some different frames. We've got round, square, and rectangle in different styles, as you will see throughout the video. I have already painted them all. I started with Saman dark walnut on the bottom. That way, after I wanted to distress them a little bit, some of that would come through. And then I painted them with Fusion Mineral Paint, Casement, and Champness. It just fits my home decor. You can paint them any colors you want and with any brand of paint. So I will put links in the description or a list in the description for any of the products that I used. These printables, these lambs, came from Little Jumbled Market, and I printed them off on my inkjet printer onto rice paper. So I'm just trimming them up here, and I am going to decoupage them on. I have got a few different simple ideas for inserts so that you can interchange these. So I'm just trimming these up, and then I am going to use PentArt's Decoupage medium to place them on. You just want to be careful because the rice paper can rip, so be gentle with them. I put a fair amount on. You can reposition your rice paper if you don't put it down in the right place and lift it up to get wrinkles out. It is a little bit more forgiving than, let's say, a napkin or something. So I do have some edges left where you can see, but that's okay because we are going to sand and distress them in a little bit. So I'm only putting the decoupage on top. If you want to seal it up before the next step, you can. You can take it out with some Rust-Oleum spray, or you can wait until we finish them completely so that the ink doesn't run. So I'm just taking 220 grit, and I am going around the edges to blend them in. It's going to tear a little bit. I want it to tear. It is fine. I'm being a little bit more aggressive with it than I wanted to because I wanted it to really blend into the background. So now I'm taking clear wax and I am going over the edges. Actually, I end up going over the entire printable there. So I'm doing that, and then I'm going to take some antiquing wax and hit the edges a little bit and wipe it back. Now that these are done, we can put them in their cute little inserts, and they are adorable. Next up, we're going to work with these round frames. Now this blue one with the picture, I had done up in a previous video. So I didn't have any more inserts, so I just used it to cut out a piece of watercolor paper that I'm going to decoupage this goose on, and I just again printed it out on rice paper with my inkjet printer. So you will see that I don't put it exactly in the middle. It may have worked a little bit better if I would have cut the paper out first. But anyhow, this was an experiment and it did work out great in the end. I just was playing around to see what the best technique was. So I would suggest maybe cutting the circle out before decoupaging on, because then you could line it up better. Anyhow, just put your decoupage medium on and then gently rub it down to get your wrinkles out, and then you can set it aside to dry. Okay, now that she is dry, I did cut her out, and I am just taking my scissors and I am just roughing up the edges. I had an idea for this and how it was going to look, and I probably fine tune it another time, but in the end, I'm pretty happy with how it did turn out. So I did cut a piece of cardboard and glue it to the back, and then I did use some tape and just temporarily taped it in. So she looks darling in both of those frames. So this, I don't know if I mentioned, but this is a printable that I designed. And if you guys are interested in it, just reach out to me. I haven't decided if I'm offering printables or not yet, but I just might. This is going to be part of my new cottage collection. So next up, we are going to work on another little round scallop frame and one of the square scallop frames, and we are going to use some Couture silkscreen transfers. This is the quilted, oh, sorry, I have forgotten what it's called again, quilted patterns. So just wax your surface, and then I'm using dusky blue chalk paste that isn't available anymore, but if you take colonial blue and white, you would get a very similar color. So I'm just chalking that on, and then I got these cute little rabbit cutouts from Dollarama that I painted with Casement, and we are going to attach him to there. I think this would be so cute with a little goose. So I have just taped him on. I would get some Velcro dots, and that way he can be interchangeable. And then this next transfer is the spring postage with the strawberries, and I think it's darling on that frame. So all you need to do is wax these, or you can take them out and spray them with a Rust-Oleum spray, and they will be set. And I'm just sanding the edges, and I did take a little bit of Rub and Buff gold leaf. You're going to see me add little bits around the edges of this bunny here in a second. And then I finished her off by adding a little bow to her ear to out of this yarn to cover that hole where this, because these bunnies were supposed to be little tags. So I just make a cute little ribbon, trim it up, and I should have used different scissors because I ended up wrecking this bow and having to remake it, but I think it ended up darling. Okay, next up is another scallop frame. This one we are going to use an IOD paint inlay from the Spring Melody. You've seen me use that one before. Normally you want to put your inlays into wet chalk paint, but I wanted to try, well, I have used this clear coat method before, and this is Dixie Belle clear coat in flat. So I've put a generous amount of that on, and then I am going to just spray. I sprayed my transfer just off camera there, just a little bit, or the inlay, sorry, and then I am placing it on top there and just gently getting all the wrinkles out, but then I'm firmly going to press in it with a baby wipe. You could use a brayer as well and roll over top. You just want to make sure it is pressed right down into that clear coat. Set it aside and let it dry. So now that it's dry, we are going to spray it with some water again. I'm just going over it with a baby wipe to get the excess off. and we are going to lift it and reveal. It transfers beautifully into this clear coat. It's one of my favorite ways to transfer the inlays in. And look how darling it is in that frame. So I'm just going to grab some sandpaper and we are just going to sand the edges a little bit. You, of course, do not have to do this. I just like that look and I think it adds to this transfer. Okay, so now we are on to my 3-layered rectangle scallop frame and I am loving it. What we are using is the Ephemeral stamp by Iron Orchid Designs, IOD, and I'm just playing here to see what I want. And I really liked that setup, but I needed that little round piece out. So I am taking a card, placing the stamps on it so I can lay it out the same way, but then I grab an extra stamp and take that little round piece out. So I'm going to use IOD's ink and stamp pad stone gray. You see I got it a little thick on some sides there, so it takes a little bit longer to dry. You just don't have to press that hard. And then just gently place that down and it's perfect. So I'm wiping it off with a baby wipe and then I can put the stamps back on their carrier sheet. I did speed up the process of drying with my heat gun. So I am going to use from the Cathrina transfer these yellow roses. Just place it on top and use the transfer stick to help you rub it on. It actually comes off really easily because we have Fusion mineral paint in behind and has a built-in sealer. If you're using some other kind of paint, you will want to seal before you do this. When we are done, we are going to lightly distress it to give it a more vintage and worn look. I'm using about a 220 grit to sand it. It looks really pretty on that background. And then we are going to seal it with Dixie Belle's Dead Flat before we move on to our next step. Now that it's dry, we are going to take another sanding block and I may have used 120 on the edge of this one. I just wanted to take it down a little bit more, especially in the corners. When I'm done, I'm going to go over it with clear wax everywhere, hit the edges with some dark antiquing wax, and a little bit of leaf gold rub and buff in the corners. I think this is probably my favorite one out of all of them, even though I love them all. But the way this looks in this 3-layered scallop frame is beautiful. So I'll just mention that this frame in the DIY kit will have a hole in the bottom to help you remove your insert easier. Thanks for joining me, friends, and I hope I've inspired you with these simple ideas to make your frames interchangeable. See you next time. Bye.